Alright, back out at Superstition Mountain, Milo Lines, Henry Fall. We're going to be talking about grip pressure in the golf swing, and specifically touching on, in transition, some things we notice with grip pressure that's going on that could be causing some issues, especially down at impact where it really matters. So stay tuned, we'll talk about it.
So we've all heard that you want to have your grip light. And I would agree to some level that we want our grip fairly light. I don't want to grip it so tight that it's causing me to tighten up in my shoulders and in my elbows too much. But I also don't want to grip it so loosely that the club gets out of control on me. Now, what I've seen from just teaching thousands of golf lessons is a lot of people that struggle with the golf swing, they actually lose control up here at the top. So when they swing this club up, they lose control of the club. This actually opens up. This opens up so that they lose connection in both of those places, and then from there, nothing good ever happens.
Now, part of that has to do with not necessarily the firmness of the grip, but their actual grip structure.
Some of it has to do with how they hold the golf club.
Yeah.
Some of it has to do with the fact that they are actually letting these last three fingers loose on the golf club, which makes the head drop, which we really don't want to let that club get free. We want to make sure that when we're holding onto that golf club, we're holding it firmly enough so that I swing it to the top and I've got a fairly firm grip on it. The club doesn't run away on me.
Right.
Okay. Also, connection points are really important. So I see people, if you lose that connection, you're probably not very good. There's a pretty good correlation there. So where the right hand is, when I hinge my wrists, that should stay connected, and the club shouldn't get away from my left fingers like that.
Yep.
So Henry, how tight do you feel like you're gripping the golf club?
I mean, it varies a little bit on the shot. There's actually some shots I increase my pressure.
Like if you're hitting out a deep rough, right? You're gonna be holding onto the club more securely so that the club can't twist in your hands.
Right. So, but I would say normally, like if it was on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm honestly probably above that 5 number most of the time. And a lot of people think you should be gripping it at like a 1 or 2, but to me, I mean, I do have a fair amount of swing speed, so that's part of it. So I need control over that club face, and having some pressure in the fingers and in my grip is where I want it. I really don't want a lot of tension up in my arms and forearms, but definitely down in the grip. I have a little more pressure.
And I'd say because I hold the golf club really in my fingers, if you measured the pressure, it's probably fairly strong. You know, it's
probably greater than a lot of people think, and compared to, I mean, with your swing speed especially. So.
Well, especially since, you know, I've been doing this for a long time, my hands are pretty strong as far as just grip strength goes. So for me to be, what feels like not a lot of pressure, because I definitely feel like I'm less than 5. You know, I feel like I'm holding on to the golf club probably at like a 3.
Yeah.
But my 3 in motion is probably enough to hurt somebody's hand, right? It's how hard I'm squeezing. So there's a lot of pressure in it.
I guess my 5+ is in relation to what my general understanding of this is, but I mean, I definitely acknowledge the fact that there is more pressure here than maybe some people think at starting point.
So I start with, you know, enough pressure so that when I move off the golf ball, I can control the golf club. If I was gripping it super loose, when I move off the club would look like that.
Well, I think, you know, a lot of people, they kind of got struck in the 90s by Ernie Els and Fred Couples and VJ Singh, and they kind of had these, you know, long, fluid golf swings, and they think that they're not swinging hard or gripping it tightly, when in reality, I guarantee you, if you bring them into a lab and did some testing, they're swinging pretty aggressively. And I mean, I've heard Fred Couples say, I swing as hard as I can.
Yeah, I've hit balls next to Fred Couples and asked him, and he's hitting as hard as he can. I've also, you think of those swings as being slow and smooth.
Yeah.
I challenge most of you to film your swing, set it side by side to one of those guys, and watch and see who hits the ball first.
They just have their flow and their sequencing is I mean, world class, obviously.
Yeah.
So, all right. So let's talk about the top though, because that was kind of the topic of this. This was from a YouTube question, and it was, as we start transitioning down, we know a lot of people struggle with this sort of pulling down. They're trying to sort of, one, either create lag this way, or they slide and they pull, a combination of things, right? You get steep. So how do we combination the pivot that we like, right? That sequencing where we get in the ground. Are we still pretty firm up here?
So my pressure, actually, I would guess it probably slightly increases as the club goes faster.
Yeah.
So yeah, up at the top of the swing, there's definitely enough pressure in my hands to keep the club from getting floppy on me.
Right.
And there's enough structure in my arms to keep things from breaking down. So the real key to the whole thing is kind of the timing of the change of direction.
Yeah.
So what I see people do, you know, you swing up here, you come to a stop, and then you go to hit it. I'm out of order.
Yeah.
Or they swing it up here, and they go to hit it with their hands. Maybe they want to hit down on it or something. It's hard to know exactly what's in their head, but generally there's something going on. Their intention, what they're trying to do, is off.
Yeah.
So what I'm trying to do with the golf club is it's basically like I'm throwing it back this way, and then my body's catching it. So the club goes here, and my body catches it and turns it the other way. And naturally, when that happens, you can see that
right.
kind of sets the club and makes it fall back this way a little bit.
It looks like his pressure's gone from, like, you know, maybe a 10 to down to like a 5 because of the supination of that trail arm, and now the right hand is basically getting more underneath or on the side of this club.
The other thing that people get mistaken, they think that supination is opening the face, but supination of this arm, if you actually look at that face, the face is not opening.
Yeah.
So I don't want it to do this.
Right.
This would be an ugly mess, because now I've got to recover from something terrible. So as this supinates...
That's probably pretty physically challenging to do, though, I would imagine, right? Like this?
Well, yeah,
I guess
supination and external rotation in that shoulder too much. But I see a lot of people, when they feel like they're letting the club shallow out, they do this.
Yeah, okay.
And now that, you know, now we've got the face pointed straight at the sky. What I really want to see, when that changes directions, you can see...
It's still in a strong position.
It's still square-ish. You know, once it gets down in here, you can see that that face is ready to go. Yeah. I don't want to see it opening up in transition.
But there's really no necessarily softening or lightening of the grip, but it is, I guess, at a pressure level that still allows that for it to happen. Because if you go up softly, where it's almost too soft, then
you grab it,
you have to increase that pressure.
And if you increase the pressure,
because that club's moving 100 miles an hour.
Yeah, if you increase the pressure out of the top, you'll get that look.
Right.
I want to feel like...
Or if your hands come off or something.
Well, if your hand comes off, then you're already guaranteed that it's not going to go where you want it to. The odds are pretty slim that you can recover from that.
Yeah.
A lot of timing.
So show us a slow one where you sequence, and that club, you know, it's going to shallow a little bit. Now, to you guys at home, it might look like his pressure's, you know, almost decreasing at the top, but it's really not. His pressure's still there. It's just what's happening with his pivot and getting into the ground. That sequencing is what causes that to look more languid, I guess. Just like... if you were tipping a baseball bat. I bet baseball players don't have a light grip at the top.
Not when they change directions. I'd guarantee that there's...
Yeah.
You know, they've got to... That bat's heavy. They've got to be holding on to it tight enough so that...
I mean, there's no way they're hitting home runs over the Green Monster with a light grip pressure. So I think there's probably some similarities you see it with that pressure as well.
Yeah. I don't really feel like I do anything different with my golf swing than I did when I was a kid playing baseball. I felt like the two motions are really similar, just some different alignments with how my hands work.
Yeah.
But the way that the motions work and the way that the pressure works and the way that the change of direction works, pretty similar.
So one thing we've talked about before too is sort of laddering or building things up, right? So whether it's building up the speed or in any case. If you want to feel this sort of shallow move and sequencing right at the top, you can have a light grip pressure just to feel that, feel the club weight behind you, but you better hit it off a tee and only hit it like 20 yards.
Yeah,
right?
so you're feeling really soft but going
really slowly.
Really slowly.
So what club's that?
It's a 7-iron.
And he's hitting it maybe carrying 100.
Yeah, maybe.
It went even shorter for us.
So I'll go.
So let's do your grip pressure at a 1 right now.
A 1.
Right, so you can hit some like that, and you probably could see that sort of this motion right here. But if you're doing this in a full swing at full speed, you can't do it with a grip pressure of 1. It's just not going to work.
1 won't work. So my grip pressure is going to be, and it basically starts off right off the ball. My grip pressure is going to be enough to control the club.
Yeah.
So if I'm going to hit this ball like my normal 7-iron, 195. You know, that's going to be definitely from the beginning. There was more pressure in the grip.
Right.
Because otherwise I would have lost control. Because I moved that club off the ball pretty fast.
Right. All right. So just to sum up this this video on grip pressure, again, a lot of you are probably pulling down from the top because of how light you were at the beginning. And then your grip structure might have not been the best. So then you get kind of loose here, you pull down, you're trying to create lag or hit down on the ball, whatever it may be. So don't be afraid to mess around with grip pressure, and you can have it higher than you think, a little tighter than you think. So
the real key is your grip, the pressure's fairly tight in the fingers, but you've got to have the loose wrists and arms. So you can grip it as tight as you want as long as you have freedom to move the golf club.
Yeah. So if you guys like this video, make sure you subscribe, hit the bell icon so you get notified when a new video is up. We appreciate your support. Leave a comment with future video requests, and be sure to check out milolinesgolf.com. Check out the academy. We do monthly analysis on there as well. We'll see you guys next time.